Happy New Year, everyone! Welcome to 2023. It's the start of a new year. It's time to focus on the next 12 months and all the stuff that we want to achieve in that time. It's time for some New Year's resolutions and why it's important to set some goals if you want to improve your English this year. Let's talk about it. Alright, mate. How's it going today? I'm not too bad, thanks for asking. If you're new around here, my name is Dan, better known as DanSenSei, and I'm here to help you stop being an English student and start being an English speaker. This podcast is designed for intermediate and advanced level English learners that want to practice their listening with a native speaker, and we'll have some interesting stuff for you to think about that'll help you improve your English over the next 12 months. If you are new here and you're listening to this podcast for the first time, thank you very much for finding it. I appreciate that. Make sure you hit the follow or the subscribe button, whatever it's called on your platform, and don't be shy. Leave a rating, leave a comment. Any of that good stuff really helps me out. I'd appreciate it. And if you're not new here, just, enjoy the podcast. It's nice to see you again. Good stuff. Today's show, we've got some stuff coming up. We're going to be talking about this concept of new year, new me. Let's set some goals for the upcoming 12 months. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about why that's important for learning a language, why goals are something that you need and what kind of goals you should be thinking about. We're also going to be talking about my goals for 2023. So yeah, lots of stuff coming up. If you want to get the transcript for this podcast, maybe you want to read along with the words that I'm saying, the full transcript is available for free over on my website. The link is in the show notes, but it's DanSenseiEnglish.com. Check it out. You'll be able to get the full transcript, every word that I'm speaking right now, written down. Follow along. And if you want a PDF version, make sure you join the Study Squad mailing list. I'll email it out to you every week. And that way you can download it, keep it forever, and, make a text book. I don't know what you're going to do with that. But if you join the Study Squad mailing list, you'll also get my free ebook, the Study Hacks Guide. Good stuff all around, and you're never going to miss anything because I'll email you about it. I've also recently started a Patreon. If you don't know what Patreon is, it's a system where you can subscribe for, $5 a month, and you get bonus perks. Things like you can make suggestions for upcoming topics on the podcast. You can get bonus content. You'll also get a chat group. I don't know what I'm going to call it yet. A chinwag group where, once a week we'll get together on Zoom. Everybody who wants to join, and we'll have a chat. We'll just talk in English for, an hour a week or something like that. And so I'm kind of working everything out, but if you're interested in that kind of thing, in the show notes, patreon.com, you'll see all the details there, and it will help support the podcast, and it'll also help me out as well, so, and help you out, which is the main thing, but it'll help me out and you. Everybody's a winner. Everybody is a winner. Right then, shall we jump into this episode? It's the start of a new year. 2022 is finished. Get out of here, 2022. We don't want you anymore. We want the shiny new 2023. And that's where we're at. You're listening to this at the beginning of January. And at this point in the year, a lot of people start to focus on what they want to improve in their life over the next 12 months. You'll see a lot of posts on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, and a lot of people will be like, oh, new year, new me, when ironically they very rarely change anything about their lives. But the concept here is that you make a New Year's resolution. New Year's resolution. A resolution is kind of like a promise to yourself where you decide that you want to do something or don't do something to improve your life in the next 12 months. Really common, lots of different cultures do something similar. And in the UK, we make New Year's resolutions at the beginning of January. The joke in England is that usually a New Year's resolution lasts about 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, everyone gets sick of it and they just go back to doing whatever they were doing before. Common examples of this kind of thing is like, this year I want to lose weight. And then 2 weeks later, you see them in McDonald's eating a Big Mac. Or, oh, this year I'm going to stop smoking. And then 10 minutes later, they're round the back smoking. It happens to everyone. For a lot of people, it's kind of a general improvement of their life. They're not very specific goals. They're just kind of, this year, do this. And those goals are very difficult to achieve, you know. This year, I'm going to save £1,000. All right, how are you going to do that? I don't know. It's just, I'm going to do it. Which is wild when you think about it. And we're going to talk about how to set more realistic goals a bit later. But they're quite unrealistic goals, right? It's quite difficult to go from not having £1,000, something happens, and then I've got £1,000. You've got to plan a bit more than that. So yeah, that's kind of some common ones. I don't know. Usually I don't really take part in those kind of things because I generally fail at them every year. I think I've had the same resolution for about the last 15, 20 years, and that's to lose weight. And every year I don't do that. So, you know, it's not really for me. Having said that, 2 years ago, I stopped smoking. I haven't smoked for the last couple of years. And last year I stopped drinking. So, you know, sometimes it works for me. But yeah, most of the time it doesn't really work for me in that sense. However, I do think having a goal or having something you want to improve about your life over the next 12 months is an important thing. And this is also true in language learning, right? It's super important that you have a goal when you're learning a language. Now, this can be kind of a big goal. You know, maybe I want to live in England, so I'm learning English. Great. Or I want to get a promotion at work, so I'm going to do the IELTS test. Whatever your goal is, that's fine. But having that goal is important. Why, you might ask? Well, learning a language, I'm not sure if you know this, but learning a language is a pretty difficult thing to do. It takes a long time, it takes a lot of effort, and if you don't really know why you're doing this, you don't really have a goal, you're not going to do it. You're going to be like, nah, mate, I'm sick of this now. It's been 3 weeks. I'm not fluent in English. I give up. I resign. I'm not doing it anymore. You know, that kind of thing. At least that's how it usually works for me. So, you know, having that motivation to keep you going is really important. The problem comes when people have a goal and their goal is like, I want to be fluent in English. Great. Everybody wants to be fluent in English that's learning English, but this goes back to the £1,000 thing. How are you actually going to save £1,000? How are you actually going to become fluent in English? I don't know. I'm just going to study and then eventually fluent. I don't think so, mate. Doesn't really work that way. So I think it's important to have goals, but it's also important that you break those goals down into manageable chunks that you can actually measure. You know, for example, a bad goal is I want to be able to have a conversation in English. Okay, what kind of conversation? A conversation in English could be, hello, how are you? I'm all right, thanks. You? Finished. That's a conversation. Congratulations, you've achieved your goal. Is that useful in the real world? I don't think so. So, you know, you got to be a bit more specific about your goals. Maybe your goal is this month I'm going to learn 15 phrasal verbs and how to use them. Maybe your goal is I'm going to listen to 4 podcasts. Maybe your goal is I'm going to, I don't know, read a book. Whatever. It's a bit more, yes, I did it. No, I didn't do it. You can measure that. It's more achievable. It's more specific. And it's going to be something that is more achievable. Like, If you go back to the original goal of, I want to be fluent in English, sure, that's achievable. But it's not achievable in the short term. That's going to take a few years, But a few years without reaching any goals kind of makes you feel a bit, oh, it's taking forever, I'm not making good progress, blah, blah, blah. So that's why you should also have a bunch of smaller goals that get you to your bigger goal. And like I say, this should be kind of short term. In 1 month, what is something that you want to achieve in the next month? And then something a bit more long term, 6 months time. What are you doing in 6 months? And then finally, you can look at more 2 years, 1 year, 2 years. What do I want to achieve in that time frame? And then setting goals is great, but then you've got to assess them. You've got to come back to it. You can't just okay, that's my goal, and then carry on. In a month, you need to look back. Did I learn them phrasal verbs? Did I listen to those podcasts? Did I achieve that goal? Yes or no? In 6 months, did I achieve my goal that I set for 6 months? We need to make sure that we're actually working towards the goals we set. And we also need to think about, are the goals useful, for you? Let's imagine that you want to work with English in your business, okay? So you're dealing with a lot of business English. There's not much point for you learning 10 new slang words, is there? You're not going to be using slang words in your business meetings. So they've got to be relevant as well. So let's just recap. They've got to be achievable. They've got to be measurable. You've got to be able to measure if you've done it or not. They've got to be relevant to you. They've got to help you achieve your goal, your main goal. There's no point learning medical vocabulary if you're not going to be a doctor, is there? Well, there's a little bit of point, but it's not a focus, And I think that kind of stuff will really help you, really dial in what you want to study next. Now, a lot of learners, and we're going to talk about this on a future episode, but a lot of language learners hit the intermediate plateau, right? Have you ever felt like this? When you start learning a language, it's easy. You're learning loads of new words. You can make sentences like, oh, that is a dog. Yay. Really simple stuff. And it's not too hard and you make a lot of progress quickly and everything's going well. Then suddenly you notice that, oh, I'm not really making much progress anymore. And it's a bit frustrating. I don't really know what to study next. I'm not improving. This is called the intermediate plateau. Happens to everyone. Happened to me in Japanese. Happens to everyone. There's a point where progress gets hard and you're not making the progress you need to anymore. At this point, loads of people give up because they don't know what to do. And we're going to talk about it fully in a future podcast. But one thing that you need to do, if this is happening to you, is set yourself some new goals. Go back, look at the progress you've made, realize where you are on your language journey, and make some new goals. Things have changed. You need to reassess where the finishing line is. You need to work out where you are on the journey and which direction you need to start heading in now that you've got to this point. Super important. Can't recommend it highly enough. Some examples of good language learning goals for intermediate is this year I'm going to learn, 2,000 new English words. We can break that down per month. Each month I'm going to learn 180 words or something, something like that. Measurable. And you can do that every month and it'll help you get to your goals. Maybe you want to increase your listening. You're going to listen to some podcasts every day. That kind of stuff. These are goals that a lot of intermediate learners set, depending on what your main goal is. But it's definitely something to think about, I think. In terms of my goals, let's talk about my goals. I've got 2 different aspects of my life that I'm making goals for in 2023. The first is my own language learning journey in Japanese. Now, I've lived in Japan for over 6 years. And many of you listening will be like, well, obviously Dan's fluent in Japanese then, isn't he? Not so much, mate. Honestly, I haven't really put as much effort into learning Japanese as I probably should have, being that I've lived here for 6 years. Now, don't get me wrong. I can deal with daily life stuff. I can go to the city hall to talk about, tax or whatever, and I can go to the doctor and I can deal with most things. I've got enough tools in the toolbox to deal with most daily life stuff. However, there's loads of times where I can't really express what I'm trying to say, or I don't know the words for this, that, and the other, and Japanese has a whole other problem with the writing systems, because there's 3 different writing systems and it's really complex. So I haven't really put as much time into that kind of stuff as I probably should have. Now, my goal in learning Japanese is I want to be able to communicate with people. Like, I'm very much coming from the communication side of things. I don't particularly care about writing so much. Reading, I think, is important. But for me, output, speaking and listening is definitely my focus. And until this point, I've just kind of been, going through textbooks and learning by watching TV and that kind of stuff. But this year, I really want to kind of put more focus on my Japanese studies for the coming year. So I've definitely been on that intermediate plateau for a while, and I'm going to reassess my goals. This year, I'm going to spend at least 15 minutes every single day studying something. I'm going to try and listen to at least one Japanese podcast a week. So when I'm driving in the car or something, I'm going to use that time to listen to at least one podcast a week. I'm going to learn some more sentence patterns and grammar patterns that I can use in daily life. Now, I don't care about like super complex grammar. I just want to be able to express myself in new ways. And of course, I'm going to learn more kanji and more grammar. When I say more kanji and more grammar, my goal by the end of this year is to be able to read 2,000 different kanji. At the moment, I'm at about 1,000, maybe 1,200. By the way, kanji, if you don't know, is the Japanese characters, the Japanese written characters that they use in Japan. So yeah, I'm going to try and get to 2,000. Vocabulary-wise, I want to learn at least 10 new words a week that I can use to express myself in daily life. And yeah, basically improve my listening, improve my ability to read, and be able to express myself more fluently. That's kind of what I'm aiming for this year, and I hope that I'll achieve it. In terms of life outside of learning Japanese, I've also got some goals as well. Of course, my regular goal, lose weight, is on there, but, I think it's just more important that I start doing more exercise than anything. Lose weight is one of those very big goals that is hard to achieve, so I'm going to start with let's go for a walk, 5 times a week, at least an hour a walk. That's a good start for me. As a big guy, I can't just run a marathon, so, that's a good start for me. In terms of business, now, 2023 is a big year for me. This is the first time since I was about 16, 17, that I haven't had a full-time job. That doesn't mean I'm not working. It's just I haven't had a full-time job with a paycheck that comes in every month. At the end of last year, I ended up not having my contract renewed with my company. And rather than immediately searching for another job, I've decided to start my own business under the DanSenSei umbrella. And in terms of goals for the year, I've got a lot, but I like making content. So my goal for the podcast side of things is at least one episode a week. And I want to grow the community. I want to have people on Patreon that join my conversation groups and join my Discord community, so we can have a community of people that are all learning together. That's one big goal for this year. I have started offering online man-to-man lessons, so I'd like to get some more students that I can help them improve their English. And I'm also hoping to launch a group course in the early part of 2023. I'm already working on it. Things are going in the right direction, and as soon as it's ready, I'll let you know. But I want to try and help as many people as I can improve their English whether that's listening to the podcast, whether that's watching my videos on YouTube, whether that's taking courses and lessons with me, whatever it looks like. I really enjoy helping people with their English, and I want to do that more. I want to increase that in my life, and I want to take you guys along for the ride. So yeah, they're my goals for 2023. I'm going to try my best to achieve them. And I want to leave you guys with a final question. What are your goals for 2023? What do you want to achieve this year? And how are you going to do it? Let's be a bit specific about it. I want you to think about that. I want you to get a pen and paper, write it down somewhere. Or if you're more technologically minded, why not whip out your phone and use the Notes app to write it down? Or even better yet, send me a message with it in. Go to Instagram, go to Twitter, whatever. Send me a message, even email. Send me an email, mail@DanSenSeiEnglish.com with your goals for 2023. And yeah, let's work together to try and achieve those things. So that's basically the end of this podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have a fantastic 2023 and you smash all your goals because you're obviously an amazing person. That's how this works. Just to finally plug everything again, the transcript for this podcast available for free over on DanSenSeiEnglish.com. Link is in the show notes. I've got Patreon. Check it out if you're interested in improving your English. You're going to get videos of each podcast. You're going to get bonus content. You got access to my Discord community where you can chat with other English speakers. You've got the weekly hangouts where we all chat together, and you can even get private lessons with me through there as well, so be sure to check that out. Link is in the show notes. It'll make a big difference to my life. It'll help support what I'm doing, and yeah, it'll help me continue doing this for as long as possible, so I'd proper appreciate it if you check it out. Other than that, let's do our best this week, and I'll catch you next week with another episode. But until then, I'll see you next week.